hopefully you can all see my screen. So I'm going to launch in now. I'm Leah. I'm from Market Financial Solutions, or MFS as we're sort of known. You'll have to apologise for where I'm looking. My notes are over here, but obviously my camera's up here, so I am looking at you. So I'm here to talk to you today about MFS and how you can use bridging, which is what we do, to meet the stamp duty deadline for new investment purchases. So then we'll talk a little bit more about MFS and what we do specifically for you as well. So if you've got any questions throughout the presentation, please pop them in the chat on the right hand side. We've got Scott Lord, who is our senior underwriting manager. He is on hand to answer those questions either throughout or at the end as well. So please pop those in there. You can also request a meeting by clicking on that function again on the right hand side. If you fill in your phone number in the text box and click submit, then we'll come back to you to arrange a meeting, a Zoom meeting or a call, whatever you would prefer. So without further ado, I suppose I'll launch in. So the stamp duty deadline is rolling around quickly, and we are waiting on this extension that has been sort of rumoured in the press today, which is saying the end of June. So that's really good news for all of those people that are already in the process. But it's unlikely to help the people that are still looking for new investment purchases now, which might be some of you guys. So the stamp duty deadline, obviously at the moment, 31st of March 2021. As soon as it was introduced, the holiday kind of lit a fire under the property market, as I'm sure you're aware. Coupled with the pent-up demand from the first lockdown, it essentially created a bit of a property frenzy. In fact, property prices increased by 7.6% over the course of 2020. Interesting stats as well is that the private rental sector also rose by 1.4% from October to December alone. So now seems to be a really good time to be getting those extra investment properties into your portfolios. So of course, this all sounds great, prices going up, good stuff. But of course, with anything comes kind of problems as well. And the main issue that has arisen, which some of you may have sort of encountered firsthand, is that there have been significant delays from mainstream lenders throughout the holiday, from the very beginning, which is making any new transactions pretty much impossible to complete on before the stamp duty deadline date, as I previously mentioned, and even before the end of June. Any new transactions coming in now unlikely to make the deadline, and there's been lots of talk of managing expectations and things like that. So the mainstream finance providers, those that you get, your traditional mortgage with, have simply just been overwhelmed with the sheer number of applications that they've been receiving. But it doesn't mean that you can't still complete on a new property. So alternative finance, bridging, which is what we do, can complete within sort of 3 days. And we can have funds in your account within those 3 days, depending on how quick that you want to move. In fact, we've done a survey recently. We go out to market and we ask lots of different survey questions to kind of understand people's sentiment at that time. And 25% of those looking to purchase property this year, property investors, said they'll be looking to use specialist or alternative finance to do so. So obviously, a huge amount of those people are in the short term potentially moving away from those mainstream providers in the first instance before they then get their long-term solution. So what is bridging? Some of you may have used it, some of you may not have. Due to the current market, alternative finance is just so much quicker to deploy than mainstream finance. Investors are looking for more innovative forms of funding, and one of these is a bridging loan. So a bridging loan is a short-term loan that is used to essentially bridge a gap, hence the name. It might be a property chain where you want to complete on a new property before the old one is sold. But the main way they're being used at the moment is for a purchase to take place, and then the bridging loan is used to bridge the gap between the purchase and then the traditional mortgage being deployed. Other ways you can use them is to plan a quick turnaround on a renovation project. So, buy the property, renovate, quick sell, and do all that in a sort of short time frame. Or you can use it to purchase a property at auction. So auctions, obviously, you tend to have to complete those purchases within 28 days, which makes it near on impossible to get a mainstream mortgage on that within that time frame, or building a new buying a new build property. So again, developers will often impose deadlines of sort of 2 weeks on those, and again, a bridging loan can be used here to bridge that gap between having to complete on the purchase and getting that long-term mortgage. So the general length of a bridging loan is 3 to 18 months, and it can be used on residential or commercial properties, or of course semi-commercial as well. And at MFS, we can do first or second charge bridging loans. So how can bridging finance help you meet the SDLT deadline? So essentially, it can allow you the funds to purchase the property that you want in as 3 days, which is what I've mentioned. One of the great things about bridging and about MFS is that the complex circumstances surrounding a purchase can kind of be discussed directly with an underwriter. So Scott, who's here today, again, our underwriting manager, you can speak directly to him when you're trying to organise your bridging loan, so you're not stuck, with a middleman. So complex circumstances like adverse credit, or those tight deadlines, or multiple properties. We're finding a lot of people buying multiple properties in bulk because of this stamp duty relief. So all of those things can be discussed directly with the underwriter. So you can speak to them from day one, and it means that we can bespoke as well. So we can fit the bridging loan to the requirement that you need for the length of time that you need. We've been in business since before the global financial crisis in 2008. So these guys, they do know what they're doing. I don't get involved, so that's fine. But the underwriters really do know how to fit those bridging loans to certain requirements, including those complex circumstances as well. So the bridging loan is deployed. You then purchase your property, and then when the traditional mortgage is deployed, or your long-term finance arrangement, whatever that may be, then you pay back the bridging loan. So that's essentially your exit strategy. We don't charge exit fees or early redemption fees on the loan if your mortgage was to complete earlier than expected. We just have a lower limit on the loan of those 3 months. So after that, no exit fees, no early redemption fees. So again, we went out to the market, and obviously specialist finance or alternative finance is growing in popularity. Again, 25% of the investors we spoke to looking to use it for their next purchase. But lots of people, understandably, think it sounds great, but I don't really know enough about it, and therefore I'm not really willing to sort of look into it a little bit more. And we totally get that. You're not alone. 61% of investors feel as though they lack sufficient knowledge of alternative finance products, which means that they just simply wouldn't consider using them. So that's why we at MFS write a lot of our own content, so that you can read through that, understand a bridging loan, understand how they can be used, understand the wider market around them as well. We have educational guides, we pull in latest stats from other industry leaders, so the house price index and such like, plus our own market research, to kind of help our clients feel as comfortable as they can with bridging and all its different characteristics. We've got a range of topics, so HMOs, refurb and conversion, general property investment, market stats, all those kinds of things. Then the reports look a little bit deeper into the subject, and this is where you can find all the latest research stats. So the blogs are kind of top level, then you can dig deep into the reports, and you can find all of these on our website, which is mfsuk.com, and they're in the news tab, so you can go in there and have a look, check out all of that information. So case studies, just to hopefully give you a little bit more of an idea about what kind of transactions that you can use bridging for. Now, both of these are quite high value. So we launched a COVID recovery fund last year, August, I believe, because we were finding that so many of our clients were being let down, one, by delays, but also with other lenders where they were tightening criteria. I mean, you'll know that 90% mortgages kind of fell off the face of the earth at that time. So we launched the COVID-19 fund to kind of help those people that had their transactions cancelled because of these changing criteria from other lenders. And it basically made sure that people had quick funds to complete, It was also from our in-house fund, which meant that we could move really, really quickly. And since then, we have also had a new funding line of 150 million come on board. And this morning, we went to press to say that we had another funding line of 200 million approved. So we're ready kind of with the funds for any projects, really, from £100,000 to upwards of 10 million. Our new funding line is dedicated at the moment to large loans and development exit, specifically, as well as a whole host of other things. So yeah, if you're still looking to meet that stamp duty deadline, that those funds are there. So two deals that we use those funds to complete on recently. The one you can see here on the left is a large fund of 3.7 million at 67% LTV, and another at 70% for 1.25 mil. Again, obviously they're large figures, but our minimum loan value is £100,000. So we can help with those slightly lower value buy-to-let purchases, for example, or buying in bulk for these larger sums as well. So who are we? So you've probably heard of bridging. I don't know whether you've heard of MFS. Hopefully you have. Essentially, we've been in the industry for over 14 years. We're celebrating our 15th birthday in the summer this year, which is really exciting. We work with private individuals, we work with companies. Again, you speak directly to an underwriter, so we work directly with the client to understand what they need, and yeah, we can have funds with you. We can turn your inquiries into funds within sort of 3 to 10 days. Again, we can kind of move as quickly as you can. So I mentioned a few times that we're kind of experienced and knowledgeable, and we're long-standing in the industry, etc., and we bespoke loans to complex circumstances. So I just wanted to highlight some of those complex or kind of special circumstances that we can provide funding for, just to give you, if you're thinking about a certain deal that could potentially work with bridging, hopefully this will give you a little bit more of an understanding whether they'll meet kind of our criteria. So we've spoken a lot about meeting deadlines, but also you can use bridging to replace existing finance if that's coming to the end of its term, or you can purchase a company that owns a property. We can work with defaults, adverse credit, repairing CCJs, all those kinds of things that I've kind of already mentioned. Essentially, all we say is the more that we can know at the outset, the more we can know that first phone call, the better, because it just means that we can fit that bridging loan to your requirement. We can get through any sort of hurdles early doors. We underwrite from day one, so we don't sort of say yes and then change our criteria later down the line. When we say yes, we do mean it, because we do underwrite at the front end. So hopefully that gives a bit of peace of mind to our clients. And I know that certainly some of our brokers that we work with like that they know that when we say yes and we give them the dip, that is what we are going to kind of deliver on. So essentially, just to give you a snapshot of our rates, I mean, I'm not sure whether this is particularly relevant at this time. It's probably worth giving us a call, because as I say, everything is basically tailored to the requirement. So we will say here, we have rates for 75% LTV, we have rates for the 50% LTV. However, it's dependent on the requirement that you have. So always call and we can give you a specific rate that you'll be paying, essentially. So yeah, you just need to give us a call, let us know what you're thinking. The things that we don't lend on at the moment is like land, but if there are other assets in the background, then we can look at that as well. So all I would say is, any inquiry, please just contact us, have a conversation with us, and we can let you know pretty much instantly whether that's something we're going to be able to move forward with or not. I've spoken incredibly fast, so I finished about 5 minutes earlier than I actually meant to, but that's a really brief overview of bridging and how it can help at the moment. And if we do get this stamp duty extension until the end of June, that's great. But again, it's not going to be helping those purchases that you might want to complete, that you might want to start the process on now. So yeah, what I will do is I will hand over to Scott, who is our underwriting manager, who I've mentioned lots of times, the master of all things bridging. So he'll be answering questions. If you do have any questions, please just let him know. He can answer all of those for you, or pop over to our website, have a look at those blogs, reports, and all of our stuff. and you can read up a little bit more there. So hopefully that's been helpful, and I will hand you over to Scott.
Hi everyone, thanks for that, Leah. So first of all, has anybody sort of got any questions they'd like me to answer at this stage? Not to worry. What I can always do is maybe keep things really sort of simple for everyone and just explain the sort of process from start to finish, exactly what that would entail and how the process works for when you do have any inquiries that you want us to look at. So it's really simple. Leah sort of touched on it already, but essentially, if you have a property in mind, you know, that you are looking to purchase or even refinance to release the equity, all you'd need to do is pretty much give us a call and have a conversation with one of the underwriters at MFS to make that decision. Alternatively, you can just send us an email. You can send an email over with the details and we'll be in contact. So once you, for example, you know, just give a scenario of our sort of, you know, normal deals that go through. It may be that, you know, you're looking to purchase a property at auction. Obviously, typically turnaround time is around 20 days to complete the purchase. So let's say you go to an auction, you're looking to purchase a property for, let's say, £500,000. What we can look to do is lend up to 75% of that value. So we can lend up to £375,000 gross. And then all you need to do is, I say, send the details, send the address of the property, a little bit of background on yourself. So obviously your age, if you do own any other assets, that's great for us to understand. Just helps us build a profile of you as a borrower and an individual. Also have a slight impact on rates. You know, if you have got experience, that's going to be more favorable to us as a lender, which will, you know, hopefully get you a cheaper rate as well. But essentially, once we've got that information, we'll send you a decision in principle for you to sign and return, and it's a very straightforward process from there. Once the decision in principle has been signed and returned to us, it'll be a case of instructing a valuer. We have a large panel of different valuers that we work with, so in terms of that turnaround time, you know, we are able to get valuation reports back within sort of 2 days, which is a very fast sort of turnaround time for the bridging market. So once that valuation report comes back to us, obviously we'll check through that. Hopefully, if there is no concerns, if there's any issues within the valuation report, it's just a case of instructing the solicitors. So you'll send the details of the solicitors that you'll be using. We'll engage our solicitors to liaise with them. And then it's just a case of getting the legal documentation all signed up. Once that has all been done, legal documents signed and executed, we will then draw down the funds. So as I say, the whole process from start to finish is very simple, very straightforward. And hopefully that just gives you a bit more insight into how it entails and how it works. So yeah, by all means, if anybody has got any other questions, yeah, please feel free to ask. So Leah's just posted a link there for everyone as well, just if you do require any further sort of information or anything that's been discussed there. But as I say, by all means, if anybody does have any questions, can be about anything sort of even relating to bridging. If you're unsure, then yeah, please just let us know.
I think one of the things that was mentioned quite a few times when I was creating the presentation, which I didn't want to go into too much detail with because I thought that we'd run out of time, but I talked too quickly, was kind of the differences between a first and second charge and how, how they're used. I don't know whether you could potentially go through that.
Yeah, sure. So as in the products that we offer, it's not just first charges. So we won't just look at taking a first charge on the asset that you're looking to buy. We can also consider second charges as well, providing the funds is for business purposes. So even if you already own, your residential property and there is equity within that property, we can look at raising up to 70% loan to value against there. So what we find is a lot of borrowers will tend to do is they might look to raise funds against their existing residential property just to raise a deposit, or again go towards the investment of another property that they're looking to acquire. So there's quite a few ways in which we can structure it to raise a higher loan amount. So it could be, again, the property you're purchasing is, let's say, 500,000, but you're still short of funds. So it's worth noting that if you do have that existing asset, then even if there is a mortgage on there, we can get a second charge on that property, and that way just raise even more. So the amount you need to actually put into the purchase is very minimum. So that is another avenue in which we can explore as well. So again, anytime if you're looking at purchasing and you think, oh, I haven't quite got the funds to complete, again, it's always worth giving us a call because we can have a discussion to see if we can raise even more, just to ensure you've got the amount in which you're looking for to complete. So yeah, again, just feel free to give us a call.
The other thing I thought that I mentioned very briefly, but you'll obviously be able to explain it in a little bit more detail, is land, and the fact that we we don't lend on land, but there are kind of other options. I don't know if that's kind of the same as what you just mentioned.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. So just in terms of our criteria as a lender, unfortunately we can't lend on land itself. The sort of bridging that we look at is straightforward in terms of the assets that we can lend against. So you may see other lenders saying that they can lend against the GDV, so that's basically the gross development value of a site once the works have been complete, whereas for us, we can't lend against that value. We always look at lending against the current as is value. That being said, we will also consider sort of light refurbishment projects. So again, if it is a property that requires quite a bit of internal works to bring it up to order, so it may be, again, you're purchasing a property that's run down, you're looking to carry out the works and then rent it out, and then once it's been tenanted for, let's say, 3 to 6 months, you then look at a buy-to-let lender to redeem our loan. That's certainly something we can look at. But yeah, unfortunately, if it is just land itself, we can't lend on the land. But again, if there is other assets within the portfolio, or even your residential property that you own with the equity, we can take a charge on that property, and then you can still use that funds to go towards the purchase of the land. So again, there's always a way in which we can have a look at structuring it, regardless of what it is that you're looking to do.
Okay, so I am being told there are questions. I just can't see them at the moment. So bear with me just 1 second, and hopefully I will be able to get into the platform and answer those for you. Show platform. So we aren't ignoring you. I do apologise. Okay, so the questions I've got, what about a first-time buyer or a new company without history?
Yeah, so again, that's definitely something we can have a look at. We appreciate it can be difficult sort of acquiring the first property, so we're happy to assist in those scenarios. The only thing with how we work is we don't offer any regulated bridging. So if you are looking to purchase the property, it has to be an investment property. So it has to be a property, you are looking for investment properties where you won't reside. If it's a first charge and you're looking to reside in that property, then it's something we can't look at, unfortunately. But as I say, the majority of all our borrowers approach us because they're looking to buy investment. They're looking to take advantage, buy the property, rent it out, and then, as I say, once the rental income's built up, they'll approach a long-term lender and pay us back through them. And
Okay,
sorry,
great.
what was the other question, Leah?
New companies without history.
Yeah, again, a lot of our borrowers, they'll set up a new UK SPV, so it'll be a brand new company, and we're more than happy to lend to those companies. That's fine.
Okay, great. We have a lot of questions which I couldn't see, so I'm really sorry about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reshare my screen because lots of you are asking about rates. So I'm just going to put that slide back up. And hopefully you can have a look at that. Our email addresses I will also pop into the chat box, and hopefully you'll be able to see those there. And we can also make sure that they're sent back. But you can see down on the right hand side here, info@mfsuk.com. That comes through to us, and Scott can come back to you directly from there, and also from his email address, which is just scott@mfsuk.com. We've got easy email addresses, so hopefully that kind of helps. So somebody's asked, Scott, can you give an indication of your interest rates, please? So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about the rates table or how that works.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, as you can see there, sort of from the top, that shows the different products that we look at. So you've got the first charge residential, which is, again, to say, against an investment property or buy to let. We've also got bridge to exit development products. So this may be that you've already got finance from a development lender, and you've built works on a site and the works are close to completion, or they're pretty much ready to complete. And then what happens is, a lot of the time, is the development will ask for their funds back, but it may be you haven't quite sold the development site or the units within the block in order to pay them back. Hence, we can step in, pay off the development lender, and then you can obviously pay us back once those units or flats have been sold within the development block. So that's an interesting product that we've got there. Again, permitted development bridge, that's another product we offer mainly for, it speaks for itself in terms of permitted development, but we're seeing quite a lot of people looking to acquire commercial sites, and under the permitted development sort of planning, look to convert that into residential. And the rest there is just light development. So we touched on that earlier. If you're buying a property that needs some light refurb work, that's the product there. And then we do look at commercial assets, as I mentioned, and semi-commercial assets. Lastly, we've just got the second charge, so I touched on that one. It's not just first charges. We can look at second charges against even the matrimonial home if it is for business purposes. And then down the left-hand side, we've just got the rates. So that gives you an indicative feeling for what it will be. So essentially, if you are looking to stay within 50% loan to value, if it is on a first charge, we'll be looking at 0.59% per month. There is a lot of flexibility within the rates, which Leah touched on. So, even if you want to look at going right up to the maximum of 75% loan to value, indicatively the rate's probably going to be around about 0.95%. But if you are someone that has got quite a lot of experience, and you have quite a few properties within your portfolio, that shows to us as a lender that you have got that experience. So we'd probably look favourably on that, and the rate may be slightly lower. But again, any questions regarding rates, you can always give us a call, explain your own personal situation, and we'll custom that to your circumstances.
Great. And then we've got another sort of question here that's not on rates. So you sort of mentioned regulated versus unregulated. So I've got a question here. Is a bridging loan only for a buy to let, or is it available for a purchase of a house to live in?
So yeah, as I sort of touched on earlier, if it is for someone to live in and it's a first charge, then that will be regulated. So that's something we can't assist with if it's to reside in. But as I say, if you already own your matrimonial home, if you own a property where you do reside, and we're taking a second charge on that property, so say as long as that money is for business purposes, that will fall under unregulated, so we can assist on that.
Fabulous. I think we've answered all the questions that Kieran from NLIS sent through to me on WhatsApp, so thank you for that. I couldn't see them, so hopefully we have answered all of your questions. If we haven't, again, as Scott said, please email us, give us a call, pop on the website. There's plenty of ways to contact us on there, different forms and things like that. There's pop-up forms that you can click on it and just give us a call, ask your questions. We're always happy to help. But I think for now we've actually run out of time, so we will leave it there. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.